Hey guys, Josh here today. We're here to do a review of the qualifying for the 2016 Chinese Grand Prix and also look ahead to the race. And it's certainly a race that should be very entertaining and very unpredictable. A range of tyre strategies available for the teams and drivers, and it was certainly a very interesting qualifying today as well. If you guys haven't seen it, then I definitely recommend you guys go and watch it. But if you have seen it, then put your thoughts on it down in the comment section below. But certainly, I absolutely loved it. Of course, back to the old 2015 format, and there was real tension all the way to the final minute of Q3, where of course we saw Nico Rosberg versus the two Ferraris, and then Daniel Ricciardo coming out of nowhere really and just kind of stealing the show. For me, Daniel Ricciardo at the start of qualifying, sticking it on the front row alongside Nico Rosberg. But the qualifying was very interesting because it set up a really entertaining race for tomorrow. I mean, we've got Nico Rosberg starting on the soft compound tyres that he set his fastest Q2 time on. And then we've got Daniel Ricciardo, Kimi Räikkönen and the rest of the top 10 all starting on the super soft tyres. So it should be really interesting. We'll have variety from the start of the race. I mean, if we got a safety car on lap 3 or 4 or even lap 1 or 2, we could see, most of the top 10 pitting in, getting rid of the super softs, and then being on fresh soft tyres, and Nico Rosberg could be caught out there. So I think people should not presume that Nico Rosberg has this one sewn up. Yes, okay, he does have the fastest package. Yes, okay, he does have his teammate right at the back, possibly starting from the pit lane, but I'll come on to that in a minute. But Nico Rosberg does not have this one sewn up. He's not got a guaranteed 25 points just yet, although of course he is in a really good position. The start, of course, is going to be crucial. China, of course, a very interesting turn one. You kind of sweep right and then left and then eventually get out onto the exit of, I think, turn 3 or 4. And it's very long, kind of opening complex, and it does provide really good overtaking opportunities. It had more overtakes than any other race in 2012, and I think was in the top 3 in 2011 as well. I don't have data for the previous couple of seasons, but they were just a couple of stats that I have seen. So China is definitely a great track for overtaking, and certainly, just like in 2011, just like in 2012, with high degradation tyres, it should definitely play to the strengths of the guys, of course, on fresh rubber, who will have a major pace advantage over those on used rubber. So let's go through the grid then and talk about their chances for tomorrow and their qualifying from today. Then, of course, we talked a bit about Nico Rosberg. Great job from him. I mean, he didn't really have to try, really, in Q3, but the main thing was getting through Q2 on those soft tyres, and of course he did have pressure in Q3. On his first run, he bottled his lap, but did manage to hook it all up for his second lap, setting a 1:35.402. And he took his first pole position then of the season, and if he can get the win tomorrow, it's going to be very important for him, because he could open up over a 25-point lead, as we head to Russia, possibly even more than that, depending on the progress of Hamilton in the race tomorrow, and if Rosberg can win the race tomorrow. Daniel Ricciardo, then, I mentioned, was definitely the star of qualifying today. Used just one set of super soft tyres as well in Q1. Also, on his first run in Q3, he used super soft, so that's why he kind of came out of nowhere, because his first run was the tyres he used in Q2. Or had already used in either Q1 or Q2, I'm not sure which session, but nevertheless then just half a second off Nico Rosberg, which was very impressive and very promising for Red Bull, especially if they get that Canadian upgrade to their Tag Heuer power unit. It might actually mean that they could be right up there, and if their calculations are right, they could be challenging Mercedes for wins and possibly even pole positions. Ricciardo is right up there, he's right on it today, and he's really showcased what he can do in that Red Bull. We've seen he's a bit of a qualifying ace as well. He can really hook it up for one lap, and is very strong over the race distance as well, and is a very good overtaker, arguably one of the best on the grid. So watch out for Ricciardo tomorrow. If he gets a good start, which usually he doesn't, usually he does get a bit bogged down. I think he's either, I can't see him staying in second. I feel like he's either going to get past Rosberg, or he's either going to get swamped by the Ferraris, but we'll have to see. But the start is definitely going to be crucial for Ricciardo. A first podium of the season is possible for Ricciardo, but it's going to be very tough. Kimi Raikkonen, great job from him, but he could have been the star of qualifying. He certainly was after the first run in Q3, but sadly, he just couldn't get it together in his final Q3 flying lap. Messed it up at the hairpin, as did his teammate Sebastian Vettel as well. Raikkonen then at starting third, Vettel lucky to start fourth already, marginally ahead of Valtteri Bottas and Danny Kvyat. So great job from Raikkonen. Could have been better though, could have been second on the grid. He could have been in pole position to get Nico Rosberg down into turn 1. Certainly a front row start is crucial because it means that if Ferrari do get another good start, I think they would have taken the lead. They might be able to get second tomorrow, but the win, or rather at first place into turn 1, could be quite tough. But we will see. Raikkonen does love China. Vettel, not the biggest fan of this track, but has had success here in the past. So we'll have to see how Vettel does tomorrow, but Raikkonen's got a measure of him, certainly so far this weekend, so we'll have to see if Vettel can come back at him. But great job from Kimi Raikkonen. I will be making a video on this, but certainly from this early stage, I've got more than enough evidence from these first 3 races that Kimi Raikkonen is better than he's ever been in terms of this hybrid era. He's at his best stage of this V6 era. Certainly nowhere near where he used to be, but he's still a lot better than he was in 2014 and 2015. So that's really good to see. Kimi Raikkonen is just about back to his near best. So that's really good to see. Hopefully he can continue to make progress. And hopefully Vettel can have a better race as well tomorrow. I mean, he only did 1 run in Q3, so maybe that did put him at a slight disadvantage. But of course, saving that set of super soft tyres may play into his hands tomorrow. But we'll have to see in terms of strategy what most of the guys go with. I mean, are we going to see super softs used? Are we going to see, is it just going to be soft and medium for most people? Is it just going to be super soft at the start and softs for the rest of the race? Or are super softs not going to wear out as quick as many people are expecting? It may depend on the track temperatures tomorrow. If it's like qualifying, I'd probably suggest that the soft tyres are the way to go, and the medium tyres are maybe not the best option. I think people could probably get away with just running softs all the way through the race. Someone like Carlos Sainz, who has 6 sets of soft tyres coming into the weekend, is at a major advantage in that respect. And people who have chosen 7 super softs, like Alonso and Button, like Grosjean and Gutierrez, like Bottas and Massa, could be at a bit of a disadvantage this weekend. But we will see in the race what tyre is the right tyre to be on. Certainly from Friday practice, I think soft was definitely working the best for people, but the medium was also working pretty good. So I can definitely see Rosberg going soft, medium, soft maybe? Soft, medium, medium, soft, medium, soft, soft. There's quite a few strategies that could work out for him. So it should be enthralling to see who goes with what strategy. But certainly, I do feel like, Ferrari are kinder on their tyres. Do like the super softs though, so I think we could see some, we will see a split strategy between Mercedes and Ferrari, and that should be the main story of tomorrow's race. But of course, there are plenty of other battles as well further down the field. Valtteri Bottas 5th in qualifying for him. I think Williams will be pleased with that, to be honest. They showed much better pace in qualifying and certainly looked a lot more on it than they were in Australia and Bahrain. They also didn't actually use that many sets of tyres as well. They managed to do 2 sets of new super softs for Q3. And that's because they only used 1 in Q1 and only 1 set of super softs in Q2 as well. 9/10 off Nico Rosberg, Valtteri Bottas was, so good day's work from him. Danny Kvyat was 6th fastest, with Sergio Perez 7th fastest. Danny Kvyat running on used super softs for his second run in Q3. That's why he didn't really match his teammate, but then again, he didn't on his first run either. So really big work for Danny Kvyat to get up towards his teammate in tomorrow's race. Unlike Ricciardo, he's definitely not a qualifying ace, and he certainly comes a lot stronger really in the race. And I think it's going to be tough for him really to hold on to his seat this year. There's a lot of pressure from both Sainz and Verstappen. I mean, even if Verstappen moves somewhere else, you've got Carlos Sainz right up there, vying for that Red Bull seat. So pressure on Danny Kvyat, but I think many people kind of counted him out last week and then he came on strong. So hopefully he can get his elbows out in tomorrow's race and maybe do an alternative strategy. We'll have to see, of course, this time he will not have free tyre choice. Sergio Perez, one of the stars of qualifying in my very biased opinion, but still, it was a great effort from Force India in general, really, to put, to give the car ready for Perez to get up to 7th fastest, especially considering where they've been in practice and certainly in Australia and Bahrain. I would not have said Perez could have got a 7th from qualifying in China. So great job from Sergio Perez. We'll see what they can do tomorrow. Perez, of course, and the whole Force India team, but particularly Perez, very, very good on his tyres. So let's see if he can do something different. Let's see if he can arrive at the 2016 season, because really his 2016 season has not started yet. I mean, Australia and Bahrain were just dismal for him, so hopefully he'll improve and he can have a very, very good race. Carlos Sainz and Max Verstappen then were 8th and 9th. Good job from Sainz to out-qualify Max Verstappen. Verstappen was some way off, clearly just couldn't really hook it up in Q3, but was way slower than Sainz in Q1, and also marginally slower than him in Q2, but ultimately he was about 3/10 off in Q3, so not a great day for Verstappen, but at the end of the day he's still 9th, and he's still only 1 place behind his teammate. He really does come on strong in the races, so definitely watch out for Max Verstappen making some moves in tomorrow's race, and certainly a double points finish for Toro Rosso should be on the cards. Nick Hulkenberg was 10th fastest then and will start hopefully in 10th tomorrow, but he may get a grid penalty in Q3. The wheels literally came off the wagon, or Q2 rather, the wheel literally came off his wagon and put an abrupt end to that session, and ironically actually got both him and Perez safely through into Q3 because there was not enough time for the session to restart, meaning that guys like Massa, Alonso and Button, Grosjean as well, could not set a quicker lap. So Nick Hulkenberg then, of course, was 10th, Felipe Massa 11th. Yeah, not a great day for Massa. He didn't hook it up on his first run in Q2, and that cost him when the red flag came out and he was eliminated. Only got himself to blame, really. You can't really blame the red flag for that. He had a chance really to get through into Q3 right there and then, and he just couldn't quite hook it up. Fernando Alonso and Jenson Button 12th and 13th. Alonso ahead of Jenson Button once again. Very marginal though between those two, of course, just 2/10, and it should be very exciting to see what both of them can do in the race. They look actually pretty quick. They were on used super softs in Q2, and we did not see the full potential of that McLaren, so they could certainly be contenders for points in tomorrow's race. We saw Van Dorn running, of course, in the points, and indeed did get a point in Bahrain, and we also saw Button saying that he could have been 7th or 8th in Bahrain had he stayed in that race, so hopefully McLaren will be free of reliability woes in tomorrow's race, and if they are, they could be right up there, I think, right up in the points. So could Romain Grosjean as well. I mean, in the Haas, we've seen what you can do in Australia with Bahrain, and he had plenty of super soft tyres for this weekend, and didn't actually go out on fresh super softs in Q2, and that actually hurt him. Because of course when that red flag came out, he had a very uncompetitive time, and will start tomorrow's race from 14th, of course barring any other penalties. Big progress to be made from Grosjean and the Haas team, but I think they will do it in tomorrow's race, and I could definitely, if I had to throw out a prediction, I'd say 8th or 9th is definitely attainable for them. They also go pretty aggressive on strategy as well, and have had a bit of luck in the past 2 races, so let's see if that luck will run out in tomorrow's race, or if it will just continue, and Haas can make it 3 point scoring finishes out of 3. Marcus Ericsson then was 15th, head of Felipe Nasr. Both of them were actually going for soft tyres runs in Q2, which I found quite interesting. Maybe that they're just kind of, I don't know. I mean, clearly they weren't trying to get out of Q2, but they were never going to get out into, out of Q2 and into Q3. But they got past Q1, and that's really, really good to see. I think a great effort from Marcus Ericsson as well. Once again, way ahead of Felipe Nasr in both Q1 and Q2. Ericsson is a very, very underrated driver in my opinion. He's starting to get the recognition he deserves, but he's certainly kind of carrying that team at the moment. Felipe Nasr really not happy with the chassis, and actually went with the same setup, I believe, as Marcus Ericsson for this weekend. Basically everything is equal now at Sauber in terms of setup and everything. So Ericsson 3/10 ahead in Q1. Does that kind of prove that Felipe Nasr is maybe just a slower driver? Or maybe it's his chassis. I think that does seem to be the thing at the moment. So hopefully he can get a new chassis for Russia and can be competitive. But maybe, we'll see what Sauber can do in the race tomorrow. I doubt they can get points, but you never know. Maybe if there is a high attrition rate, maybe if they get strategy right. But I think their main target is just to stay ahead of both Renault and Manor, and I predict a good solid finishing position. I think for them would be 12th place, but maybe they can nick a little 10th place in there, but hopefully they can score points tomorrow. But I think it looks unlikely from their Friday pace Definitely very lucky, but very, very good job, though, to get into Q2. Kevin Magnussen was 17th, then the top guy in Q1 to get eliminated. Very, very marginal between him and Felipe Nasr, but he was eliminated in 17th place. Used 3 sets of brand new super soft tyres in Q1, just like Jolyon Palmer, of course. Kevin Magnussen and Jolyon Palmer bringing 6 sets of super soft tyres to this weekend. They both have, well, actually Magnussen has 2 sets of mediums and Palmer has 3 sets of mediums for this weekend. So definitely watch out for Renault trying something maybe a little bit different in the race tomorrow. They're really, really struggling for pace though, and it is a great shame. But, Sauber ahead of Renault. Let's see how that transpires in tomorrow's race. We're seeing a really, really thrilling battle at the back, really, between Manor, Renault, and Sauber as well. I thought it would be between Sauber, Manor, and Haas, but it looks like Renault and kind of Haas have swapped places in my kind of predictions, and Haas definitely look like the kind of 5th or 6th quickest team, while Renault are certainly struggling and look about the 9th quickest team. Let's see if they can beat Sauber in tomorrow's race, and hopefully Magnussen and Palmer can have a trouble-free race and we can get both Renaults to the finish tomorrow. Esteban Gutierrez way off the pace of his teammate, down in 18th. Awful day for him. I've had to give him a rating out of 10. I'd probably struggle to give him a 3 for today's performance, but for whatever reason, he just couldn't quite hook it up, couldn't quite show his full potential. But he does like races, he does have better race pace generally than his qualifying pace, so let's wait and see what he can do tomorrow. Hopefully he can get to the finish and get his first finish of the season, and hopefully that is a finish in the points, but it should be quite tough really for Gutierrez to get points in tomorrow's race, but we will see. Grosjean, of course, only has 1 set of medium tyres for this weekend. Gutierrez has 2, so I would suggest that they're probably going to try out the super soft tyres in tomorrow's race and possibly start on them and maybe even use them twice. We'll see. It's all going to depend on those opening few laps to see how long everybody else apart from Rosberg in the top 10 goes on their super soft tyres, and B, to see how Nico Rosberg goes on his soft tyres. And, of course, there are 2 drivers we have not talked about yet, and that's Pascal Wehrlein and Lewis Hamilton. Of course, Lewis Hamilton will probably start from the pit lane in tomorrow's race, but will definitely start at the back. If he does take a grid start, he will be 22nd on the grid, just behind Pascal Wehrlein. Of course, Wehrlein having that big crash in Q1, and then Hamilton just not getting out due to an ERS failure. Well, he did actually get out on track, but they did not fix the problem, and he was not competitive enough to even bother to set a flying lap. So major woes from Lewis Hamilton, and his season has been pretty dreadful really so far. I mean, in Australia he got a bad start and then only finished 2nd, and then of course in Bahrain he got hit by Bottas at the start, then got a 5-place grid penalty for this weekend, and is now looking at either starting at the back or starting from the pit lane in tomorrow's race. So let's see what he can do for tomorrow. In terms of prediction then for the race and for Hamilton, I'd say Hamilton can probably get up to, I say 4th is a realistic target, maybe even 3rd. It all kind of depends on the timing of safety cars and how the strategies play out, but I'd probably say Hamilton can get up to at least 4th in tomorrow's race, of course, depending whether he starts from the back or from the pit lane. Rosberg, I think, will win tomorrow, but it should be quite close. Maybe we could see Ricciardo's first win since Spa 2014. It's certainly not out of the question, but I think his start may let him down. And I do think Raikkonen will get a very good start, but I think Vettel will get a better start, and therefore I think Vettel will finish 2nd, with Kimi Raikkonen completing the podium. I'll go for Hamilton in 4th, with Valtteri Bottas finishing where he started. In terms of 6th place, that could be really go to anyone, couldn't it really? But if I had to make a prediction, I may even go pretty ambitious. Maybe, I'm not sure about Haas. I mean, the tyre pressures really do seem to be hurting them this weekend. So before the weekend, I might have said Haas to get a surprise 6th place in this race, but I think it might just go to Max Verstappen. I think he's been doing very, very well recently, and that may continue. Sergio Perez, I think, can definitely get his first points of the season, and that'd be really, really good for him. Can Gutierrez get his first finish of the season? I'm going to go out on a limb here and say no, he can't, and I don't think Renault will get both cars to the finish either. So, very interested in hearing your guys' opinions down in the comment section below. Should be a great race tomorrow. My prediction then, Rosberg, Vettel, Raikkonen for tomorrow's race, with Ricciardo kind of there or thereabouts. Actually, I didn't even say where Ricciardo's going to. I'm going to say Ricciardo's going to retire. I think. I guess I'll have to go with that now. I kind of put myself into a bit of hole there, but Ricciardo could actually go for 2nd place in the championship. He could actually close in on Hamilton if he does manage to beat him tomorrow, which is quite an interesting theory. If Red Bull do get an upgrade after Canada, could they challenge for the championship? I'm just going to put that out there, or rather, could Ricciardo challenge for the championship after Canada? I think that's a good, pretty leaving thought ready for this video. So thank you so much for watching. Leave your predictions down in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for my review of the 2016 Chinese Grand Prix.